Hello and welcome to Financial Technology Frontiers Live. And we are in for taking one more very interesting conversation ahead with Philippe Daoust, who is the Managing Director for Corporate Investments and for Innovations at BNC, Bank National Canada. He has really shared some very interesting perspective on innovations. And today we are going to deep dive a little bit more with him into what are the new areas of innovations that banks are today looking at, and especially from BNC perspective, and what are his thoughts on what fintechs and the technology companies are today working strongly with the banks in each of these areas. So, friends, let's look at engaging more with Philip and understanding deeper from him about what is the future of innovation in the banking and financial sector.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So, Philip, you have been an innovator, you have been into tech investments as a venture investor as well. If you see from the overall landscape of innovations that are happening in the financial services and the kind of investments that are taking place, what are some of those few critical areas that you think the banks and financial institutions are invested in immediate, medium, and long term future? So, what are those things that come on the top of your mind?
So, at the very least in Canada, what we had in the past 8, 9 years was a lot of investment made into retail. And if you go back to the beginning, into wealth. So, wealth was very hot for a few years. Then retail became really hot with neobanks coming in, etc. And now what we're seeing is a slowdown in retail and an acceleration in commercial, as well as a resurgence of wealth tech as well coming onto the market.
Excellent. From the retail to commercialization or commercial banking. And we all know that almost 80% of Canadian business is basically from the coming from the small and medium businesses, right? So, from
Yep.
the commercial banking perspective, what kind of innovations are coming into the bank industry?
So I think that we'll see a kinds of what we saw in retail, where neobanks were coming in, Coho, Neo, Tangerine. If you go further, I think we'll see something like that in commercial as well. We'll see the start of neobank offering small clients more services that are more automized than they used to with a big financial institution.
Okay. So, what kind of technologies then, especially when this neo banking in the commercial banking space you see coming in?
Yeah, so you already have like payments card that have been very popular with generation of expense report and so on in the back. Um, you've had lender, which lends small amount to small businesses way faster than bank does, with less friction. And you had just normal banking as well, where uh, small businesses and small businesses owner need specific services that were a bit all over the place in banks, in big traditional banks. Up to now, those three sectors have been developing separately. So if a small banking organization wanted to have those services, they would have to have float for the payment card, and another one for their bank account, and another one for their lending. What we're seeing today is we're starting to see the consolidation in that sector, with some provider being able to offer more and more. And as they're being able to offer more and an holistic approach to small business, I think this is when we'll see the real shift happening. Bear in mind that this is going slower than retail because it's harder to grab a significant portion of the market in commercial than it is in retail.
Interesting. As a practitioner's perspective, what are the kind of bottlenecks you see in the SME banking today? Of course, there are a lot of opportunities coming in, but what are the current bottlenecks which the banks are trying to battle it out?
From the bank, it's always been that it's difficult to serve the small business sector just because they fall in between two chairs. And you've got your big commercial clients, which request very specific product. You have the small banking sector in the middle, and then you have retail, which is the mass. And they've always been stuck in all the big financial institutions in between. And when you look at why it's been so difficult for those neobanks to come in, it's because you had very few business started every year. Like it's not I'm getting 100, 200,000 immigrant every year. That's at least a pool of potential customer. Then I have people that are just getting older to 18. Those are all potential customers for those neobanks. In commercial, there's only a small portion of business being created each year. And it's very difficult to convince a business owner to move their account from their traditional financial institution, very secure, to a new player. So it was hard for those commercial neobank to really get the traction they needed. But I think we're at that tipping point where they accumulated a good amount of customer. We're seeing an increase at the pace on which commercial customers are willing to change. So I think that's really a sector that might be hot in the next few years.
And what about those customers, especially Canada being an immigrant country? A lot of immigrant businessmen coming and setting up businesses in Canada. Do you think is the industry equipped enough to serve those customers, and are we doing enough justice in that sector?
No, I don't think so. And I think also that you have those entrepreneurs coming a lot, for example, from India, where they have way better services for small business than they expect to get here in Canada when they come in. And the trad banker are not offering that services. And those are part of the one we're seeing going towards commercial neobanks.
Interesting. So there is a lot more innovation in the offing and a lot more innovation supposed to come to serve these kind of customers.
I think we'll see a real switch in small business banking in the next 5 years as there's an acceleration of services. I really think also that the political situation is going to play. Depends how the economy goes, because the number of business being created in Moral's economy is not as big as it is today.
Superb. I think that's a great perspective, and there is definitely a lot of promise into what can happen in this sector. Now, coming to the next important sector, that is the wealth tech or HNIs. This has been one of the most pampered audience. On one side, you can see that while they demand the best of the services, on the other side, they essentially want everything to come to them, and they are not, many of them are not very tech savvy as that of the other customers. So what kind of the challenges do the banks face in this, and what kind of innovations are coming in this area where the banks are investing?
I usually split the area in two. The first part is the wealth advisors needs better tool to be able to service their clients. And the other part, you have the self-serving clients that need the better tool to service themselves. And they're not the same tool that are needed. What is really hot right now in wealthtech is really all tools to be able to help wealth advisors serve their clients better, give more information to their clients, be able to prepare their clients package. So, you meet your client every quarter. Each time they have to prepare a package. They spend an incredible amount of time preparing packages for clients instead of actually managing the portfolios. So if those tools give them more time to manage portfolio become more actively managed, you could see better result for the clients, and a more interesting job for wealth advisors. So this is what we're seeing right now as being the hottest topic in wealth. On the other side, into self-serving, it's already there. I mean, there's a Wealth Simple, Robinhood, and so on were created in that first wave. They've just increased the amount or the quality of the services they're giving to their clients. And we're seeing a significant amount of clients switching toward those platforms. I think Wealth Simple is at 2.5 million clients now. So we're seeing that switch being done toward those new ones because they've kept increasing the quality of their services. The last point that gives them an advantage, if they've been able more easily than a traditional financial institution to go into new product. For example, they can have fractional shares. So you can buy a tenth of a shares of Apple. And they have digital assets on their platform, which none of the trad financial institution have in Canada. So that also attracts customer because they can have a more realistic view of their clients.
Interesting. Do you see a resistance from the HNI customers when it comes to adopting some of the latest technologies and kind of adaptation to the innovations?
In wealth, you don't see that much resistance, to be honest, because it's all it's a lot of aesthetic. Like the shares you actually own and the success of your portfolio is not impacted. It's really what you're receiving is better. The information you're getting is more in line. You can go into classes of product you couldn't in the past. So I think it's very easy for the customer that wants to. It's basically an opt-in. If you want digital asset, just go and buy digital asset. If you don't want them, don't buy them. So it's really an opt-in that we see. Same thing for the agents. If they want to serve their clients in a more easy fashion, then they're going to adopt the new tools that are offered to them. If not, they stay on their old tool. So its adoption is really not an issue, and we've seen quite a good level of adoption in wealth.
Now, the third important area that most of us have been grappling with is in the area of cybersecurity, because this has become quite complex, especially in the wake of technologies like quantum and AI coming into the picture, and also the fraudsters getting the advantage of the same technology as that of the lawmakers as well as the bankers. So, what kind of innovations do you see coming in into the cybersecurity landscape now?
So we're seeing tools coming in to fight deepfakes, which are pretty good. We see tools coming in to fight false websites. So basically, you can just replicate, for example, the wealth site from a financial institution, and then you send a message. A person really think it's the appropriate website. They enter all their credential, and their identity just got stolen. So there's more tool now to fight those type of fraud. And with deep fakes, what people don't understand is you don't need to be having a 15-minute conversation for someone to be able to copy you. Pretty much 3 words are sufficient now to copy your identity, call your wealth advisor, and pass yourself as him. So we're going to see a kind of mixed strategy from financial institution, one where traditional method are used. We're seeing more and more the two-factor authentication coming back in, which had been eliminated at the beginning of the 2000. And we see new tools coming in to be able to effectively fight deep fakes, false website, etc.
Interesting. And what are those kind of bottlenecks that you see in the cybersecurity side, or what are the kind of areas where banks are really wanting to find the kind of solutions, or they have not been really able to get that satisfactory kind of technologies to address this?
Address what? Sorry, there was a cut there, so I missed
Okay.
what you were addressing.
No problem. So, from a banker's perspective, which are those bottleneck areas in cybersecurity that you see the organizations are looking forward to find solutions for?
Yeah, I don't think it's specific to financial institution. I think it's the entire sector. So it's in the world we are today. Like there's more and more attack, and you just need to keep improving and changing those tools. Um, Fraudster adapt themselves very quickly, and we just need to keep improving at the same space as they are. Otherwise, then there's going to be a
Any interesting perspectives with all this quantum coming into place, or technologies like quantum computing, and with AI making frauds more complex? Any interesting areas you see coming up in the near future which will be of greater demand?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I always compare this to drones. Like drones were supposed to be delivering packages to your front door, and
Mhm.
they're more delivering bombs than packages. So you never know exactly where technology is going to go and how it's going to end up. And so it's difficult to know what the next,
Excellent. And to end up, if I ask you, what are those things that you are really excited about to happen in the next 4 to 5 years in terms of technology and innovations? What would you say?
I think 4 and 5 years is really long. I think it's going to be faster. Um, we're starting to find real use to AI, agentic AI especially. And once agentic AI could really change the way people deal with their financial institution, it could really rock the financial institution world. The example I love to give is, if I have an agentic AI and I give it the power to move my money from bank to bank, then I can always be chasing the highest deposit rate in the banks. So my money start jumping from bank to bank, and I have no clue where it is because I've actually given the power to the AI to do that. And I'm always getting the best interest rate because the like today promotion are like 3 months, right? So you always get the best 3 months rate everywhere. The problem this causes financial institution is if your deposit base is not stable, it's hard to lend against. So I think
Absolutely.
there's an entire switch in mentality that will need to happen at the very least in marketing, because that could be easily resolvable by all the financial institutions just giving similar interest rate. But otherwise, there's a mentality switch that will need to happen. And then it also depends how much agentic AI is actually going to be adopted by customers. Because uh, unless you're in that domain today, if you go on the street and you talk to AI to people, people don't really understand it. If you ask them like, "Can I move your money around without you knowing where it is?" They probably are going to say no. So it's going to be an entire switch that is going to be very interesting. That's an extreme example that I'm giving just to make the point. But this is what agentic AI brings at a lot of level in financial institution, but also in telco or
Oh,
other domain, right? How about you change, without changing your phone or your phone number, you change provider to always go to the lowest price possible. It's not
absolutely.
impossible. And the AI can do it by itself. Today, you don't do it because it takes you a lot of time on the phone with those companies.
Oh, interesting. These are great new ways of imagining banking. And I remember the, innovations related to account number portability across the banking organization. This is one of the kind of innovations. Bill Gates, once upon a time, used to, ask kids what they would like their computer to do for you. Okay. And that is probably what you are speaking about.
Well,
So,
the word you're speaking about, I was having fun reading on those, and they were saying, "Oh, they're using computers." You hear the politician, they're using computer, and they do their things, and it gives us saving. When you stop knowing what your computer is doing in the back, that when it becomes a bit strange in terms of decision making.
absolutely. And all the complex work is happening by the technology behind you, while it is as simple as that you just port your, savings from one account to the other or
Yep,
one bank to the other. And this is exactly what algorithmic trading does when you do trading in the capital markets, right?
yep.
Putting money in the stocks depending upon the calculations and multiple complex calculations which are taking place in the background. So,
Exactly, and you don't know what those calculations are as a client, right?
correct.
So that's a great example.
Yeah, superb. I think that's a great vision for the future, Philip. Thank you very much, Philip, for this conversation.
Exceptional. Thank you very much. Have a great week.